Okay, so here's a big day today. We're gonna get started on this project, actually cutting and making sawdust and pouring some glue. And my watch is going off. Anyway, it's a good thing, by the way. So yeah, we're going to laminate the wenge board and the maple that we've got picked out for our neck. That's going to be in five slices and laminated together for extra strength and for a nice decorative look. The design isn't quite complete yet, but I already know that this is a step we can take without having a full design in place yet. So I'm going to go ahead and talk you through the process and some of the criteria you use in the decision making for how we choose a neck and the facing of it, because it all kind of matters. Okay, so these are the pieces that we're going to be using, and I've got kind of the plan laid out, and I'll go ahead and talk about that here. Okay, so here's the plan with the neck. We're going to splice the maple twice, giving us 3 pieces, and then we're going to take the wenge board. That's going to be also the fretboard, but we're going to take 1/2-inch slices of that on end and laminate the 5 pieces together to make one 3-inch wide guitar neck blank, which we'll be working with. You see here that the total width that we're going to be working with is 3 inches, and this is actually 3/4, but we're going to be working a lot thicker than that. But 3/4 is going to be our minimum final width, just for the main length of the neck. It'll be thicker as it gets into the body, where it's going to be a neck through. Okay, so the wenge is going to be 2 slices of 1/2-inch, right about there. 2 of those slices, and I'll probably take it off at this end, because the idea is that when I cut the fretboard out of this, I want to use this center pattern here of the rings that are kind of going cross out of the face of the board. I haven't decided if I'm going to take a straight piece out of it, or if I'm going to try to follow this line as best as I can. But I'm kind of leaning towards that idea. Okay, so with the selection of the maple for a neck, ideally you want to find a piece cut more from the center of the tree. If you look down here on the end, you'll see the grain goes like this, and you want that natural arch, because in nature the most strongest structure is an arch, and we want that arch to be pointing, the top of the arch to be pointing up, so the fretboard is on top, and that gives this piece of wood the most stable natural strength that it can have. I'm not sure how close this was to the center, but I'm guessing the center of the tree was probably right about here. But I'm going to work off a different theory today for this build. Is I'm going to take the 2 wider pieces from the ends, and then we're going to make the edges the center, so that way, I'll draw this out actually. Where's my pencil? All right, so if this is my board, and this is the way of the grain, I'm going to take this piece and this piece as the bulk of my neck, and I'm going to swap them like so. So when they come together like this, let's see if I get this right. they're going to have grain that goes like this. Okay, so that way you've got a strong spine at the center. And in fact, if I'm going to redraw this accurately, I'm going to have my two end pieces, the wenge, and then a smaller piece of maple for the centerpiece, wenge again, and the other edge. So the grain goes like this, and then, you know, this grain is probably something like that. And then I could probably follow the same theory with the wenge. You can see how tight this grain is. That's how you know this is going to be a good strong piece. Whereas this one, it's got wider grain, but that's actually not too bad for maple. But this is very tight, and all those layers is what creates strength. Okay, so same concept with the wenge. We're going like this, so the shallow ends of the grain is pointing towards the center. So yeah, so that's my theory. I'm going to go with that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and lay out my cut lines and fast forward through all that. Okay, I'm gonna slow down here for a minute and talk about this one. It's a cheaper piece of maple. I think we'll use as the very centerpiece, and we'll use this one as the more decorative piece. So yeah, this will go on end actually. So we're actually going to cut it as thick as this board, and we'll thin it down to 3/8 of an inch is what I've got it planned for. Alright, I'm going to fire up the trusty old Shopsmith after about a year. I haven't been able to be in the shop because I haven't lived here for a year, since I just got back from South Korea a week ago. But first up is the centerpiece. Look at how wide that gap is. It means the board is naturally wanting to flex, and I just relieved some of that tension with one cut.
Light.
All right, one thing I forgot to mention before I started recording is when you're cutting something like this, especially with high figured wood. This is an expensive board, so you want to get as much use out of one piece as you can, and that means saving all the scrap you can. So what you want to do is avoid tear out from saw blades. And one way to help prevent tear out, which is when grain gets ripped out from the side and leaving a chip in either side of your piece, is you can cover your cutting path with masking tape.
Did you make that mistake, Dad?
I've made many mistakes.
Like that one?
Yeah.
Oh my, that tape was covered with dust.
Yeah.
If it was a person, I'd say it was covered from head to toe. Dad.
Okay, so now we got one end of the bass guitar neck, and we got the middle.
Oh, come on!
And then we'll get the other end off of this piece. And then two pieces from the wingay to be here. And then we'll have to join.
There's a wasp in here.
We'll have to joint the pieces and get perfect edges so we can get them to come together perfectly flat and level. And we'll put them in clamps under glue and let them sit for the day or so. It's not easy when you keep talking. And then we'll have our neck blank that we can start working with. Okay, so here it is the next day after I cut these strips for the neck. The task for today is to go ahead and dimension these strips down to the point to the width that I want them, and then put them in clamps and glue them up. So the wingay pieces are going to be 1/2 inch wide. That's a 1/2 inch already right there, and in the middle. The center maple strip is going to be only 3/8 inch, and then we're going to, I'm not going to mill up the maple because that's as flat as it's going to get. These inside pieces here on the maple are already as milled and as flat as they're going to be. There is some tear out, which I'll show you here in a second, which is what I was talking about yesterday, how curly maple has a tendency to be prone to a lot of tear out. And there's a good example right here. I'll show you. So look at all this, where the blade has grabbed too much of the wood and just tore it out. That's not going to get any better unless we ran it through a sander. And I don't think I may do that, but I'm going to go ahead and get these dimension down, set up with markings, and I'm going to take them first to the bandsaw here and get it close to the line that I'm going to draw. And then it's coming over here to the planer and get it even closer, and then for the final dimensioning I'm going to run it through a drum sander. This is a belt here, and underneath here is a drum. That's a sanding, that's covered with sandpaper. Yep, I'll show you. So this is obviously going to be spinning. Piece is going to be fed underneath and taken down to its final dimension. At which point we'll then glue it up. So stay tuned as I go ahead and mark these for cutting. So I was planning on running these strips through the planer. Planer, of course, using the blade to get the thickness you want. But thinking again, I got really close to that line with the bandsaw, so I think I'll probably just go straight to using the drum sander. Also, the fact that Wingy is notorious for splintering. I think the blades might have a pretty drastic effect on the face that I'm going to be planing. And also, let it be noted that one side is already as finished as it's going to be, so I'm only going to be drum sanding one side. Same with the maple. Alright, so there you have it. You saw how many times I had to push, a single stick through to get it to the thickness that I wanted. You're taking off a little bit each time, and eventually you get there. And so I went ahead and decided to put the maple through, the decorative, outer pieces of maple through, just to get a good glue up surface. I'm going to show you some of the tear out that I was dealing with on the outer edge, which is flipped to be the inner edge where you glue. It's the gluing surface. And then again where I'd taken some more off, and finally where I decided to stop. And I got a really good clean smooth gluing surface that I'm going to be putting together. And here we have the final dimensions before I put it in clamps with glue. So got the outer pieces. Here's the clean edge. There's one little small tear out, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with that. It shouldn't be a problem. And then got a 3/8 inch center and 2 1/2 inch pieces of the Wingy. It's actually a little shy of a 1/2 inch, but that's okay. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put glue on it and put it under pressure. I'm walking to my local building supply store. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say the name or not. It's Lowe's. I'm going to Lowe's to buy some new glue. I'm getting ready to do the glue up for the neck, and the glue that I've got has been sitting for a while, so I'm just not too sure about the quality, and I want to have a fresh bottle of glue just to be sure that I get a good quality bond between those strips. So it's been sitting for about a year. For those that don't know, I've been away. First of all, for those that don't know, I'm in the Army, and I'm back home on leave. I've been gone to South Korea for a year. So that's why I've been really excited to get back into working in my shop. It's kind of kind of my safe space, my happy space. You can probably tell. But it's the other reason why I'm walking. I'm currently without a vehicle. I found a vehicle. I ordered it. It's in Tennessee, and I don't know if I ordered it or not, but I bought it from a dealership over there off the internet. So they're going to be delivering that as soon as my check arrives to them. Should be tomorrow. But they're going to drive that over. It's about 4.5 hours away. As soon as they get the check. So if it arrives tomorrow, the check arrives tomorrow, then I should see it on Saturday. I'm really excited about it because I've always wanted one of these vehicles. I'm not going to say what it is yet. I'll probably save that as part of an episode. But I'll tell you, it's red, and I've always wanted one ever since I first stumbled upon one in 2010 when they were first introduced. And this was when I was living in Kentucky, and I went into the dealership and they had one on the showroom floor, and the guy says, "Yeah, Blake Shelton just bought that." I'm like, "Really? Blake Shelton, the country singer?" "Yeah, he's sending somebody up here you know, today to pick that up." I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." Got my picture with it, and I've always wanted one since. So yeah, I'm pumped. Not because Blake Shelton has one, but that's just kind of the story about when I first discovered these things. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Okay, so I've got the blanks, the strips that I'm using for the neck blank already set up loosely in the first two set of clamps. I'm going to need a whole lot more clamps than just this, but this will get me started. So got back from my little walk. It turns out to be about a mile each way. Not too bad. Good little bit of exercising. It's a nice day. And then got my Tight Bond 3, and then I got Chick-fil-A, and I just made it back. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue this up. I need my brush. Where is my glue brush? Literally just had it. Here it is. Okay, these brushes you can get at like the dollar store or something, used for like cleaning dishes or something like that. Has these rubber bristles on it. Works really good for wood glue because once it dries, you just kind of peel it off. It comes off real easy. Way easier than if you use a brush, which when that dries, it's a solid piece of glue. So I'm going to go ahead and get glue on these. The idea is to get glue on each side of the surface and then put those together, and then just keep stacking them up and then drawing them tight in the clamp and adding clamps, as many as possible, along the entire area of where the wood sandwich is coming together. Alright, and it is time now for the glue up. I've got my 5 pieces laid out, ready to receive glue. I am already within the clamps, loosely placed. Now all I got to do is play with the glue. And you want to get every part of your surface that's to be attached covered with glue. And you don't need a lot. In fact, less is more. Okay. You do need to be fairly quick, because once you get it on thin, it's going to start to set up real quick.